up? Welcome to the 1% podcast. I'm your host, Alexa, and I have...
Hey y'all, it's me, Zai, and we have a special guest today. We have Aisha Thomas. So tell them a little bit about yourself.
Well, hi everyone. I'm Aisha J. Thomas of the Thomas Agency, where we build legacies one property at a time. And I am a commercial real estate attorney with AJT Law, where we're experienced, responsive, and we add value. I'm Aisha, like I said. I've been in the industry been in real estate for 21 years.
Yes.
Originally from Detroit and moved to Atlanta 8 years ago from LA. And been in Atlanta, learning this market, and it has been a great ride. I'm just so excited to be here. I'm so proud of Zai and the young lady. I'm so proud of you all for doing this. This is a great thing. Bringing awareness. As you all know, less than 1% of women and minorities are in commercial real estate. So I'm all about advocating for that and making sure that my clients are protected and educated.
That's perfect. Okay, so we're going to deep dive in how did you even get introduced or get started in real estate?
Well, initially, like I said, I'm from Detroit. So when I graduated from college, before I even got my first job, I started studying for the real estate exam because I'm a reader, and most of the autobiographies I read, most of the people who were millionaires or wealthy, it was all real estate related. And, I had no thorough understanding besides maybe signing a lease of real estate as far as doing any kind of transactions. My parents owned property, but, that was the extent of it. My grandmother was a landlord, but didn't know much about it. So one of my friends from high school, her family, her grandmother was one of the first black women to own a real estate franchise, a brokerage franchise in Detroit. And so her family was kind of the encouraged both of us, even though she was in grad school for medical school and I was doing some other things. We both decided to just take the test just so we can learn for ourselves. So that's how I originally got started in real estate in general. And so always practiced, even though I may have had some full-time jobs here and there, but the commercial real estate bug didn't really hit until maybe 6 or 7, 8 years into it, because I've been in this for 20 years. So. And so I sold maybe like a small building here and there. Wasn't real technical, it was just an abandoned building. Somebody was like, oh, I want that building. Okay. I was more intrigued, but once I got in law school, took more commercial real estate related type courses. I'm like, okay, that's where I'm going to focus on development, real estate related issues. And that's what made me say, hey, I'm going to go full force. Got into the USC program called Ross Minority Development Program out in LA. Ended up not doing it. Got out there for various reasons because they changed up the program, and I had to find a job because LA is expensive. So went out there and realized I could not afford to do the program at that time, and found another program called Project REAP. And I know I've told you about it, projectreap.org. I'm definitely an ambassador for that. I graduated from that program in 2014 in Los Angeles, and that kind of exploded my world in terms of the exposure and the things I learned about commercial real estate, because it wasn't that you learned more about that real estate is not just about the buildings per se. It's about the numbers, and there's so many different facets and ways that you can work in the industry besides just being a broker.
Exactly.
And a lot of people don't know. They just think, oh, you want to be in real estate, oh, you must just sell it. No, you can be an analyst, you can be an asset manager, work in legal, of course. There's so many appraisal markets. The capital side is big, where you provide money. So I just got exposed to all of that. Left LA, came here, and it's been on.
That's perfect.
Wow. So I know social media may have a persona that real estate is easy, and people that are actually in real estate know that's not true.
Absolutely not.
What is the hardest part about commercial real estate?
I think the hardest part about commercial real estate is the access to opportunities. Because, especially for minorities, we typically don't have the network. So let me give you an example. When I was living in California, I went to this commercial real estate event at some country club. And, it was a lot of newer people in the business. And a question was asked like, hey, so how do I get more business? And the guy's answer was, oh, well, you ask your dad's family and friends, and when you're at the club, you'll meet guys that have opportunity. And I'm sitting here thinking, I don't know what club he talking about, because the clubs I go to don't have people looking to buy buildings. So, you know, it was a whole different world. And I'm sitting here like, none of this advice applies to me or anybody I know. You know, we don't have that network. So I think that's the challenge for minorities in general, is that typically we do not have the network who are playing in that space, who own buildings, who, you know, so I think that's one of the points of entry is hard, because you don't have the network you don't have people every day in your world buying apartment buildings and buying office buildings.
That's true.
So I would say that's one of the things that makes it hard. And the other thing is, it's not like residential. And I think that's where a lot of residential agents who try to just jump in, totally different, a lot of language that you don't know, and it's imperative to get educated about how to do deals, how to analyze deals, because you got to be able to look at it from the owners and buyers' perspectives and why and their motives on buying this space. And a lot of times it's not just about the building next door sold for this amount, because you can have two buildings look exactly the same, and one could be more valuable just based on the type of tenants they have and the type of leases. So I think the hardest thing would be just having the network to get started. And so we have to work a little harder, be a little bit more creative to get clients. But there are definitely opportunities for, in general, for anyone to get in, even if you don't have that network. But you got to be educated and know your stuff.
Please do.
Yeah.
So we know that in commercial real estate, there is not a lot of minorities, African Americans, women especially. So are there any opportunities or any programs that minorities can get into if they want to go into commercial?
Absolutely. You know, I'm an advocate, and I have a book called Getting to the 1% in Commercial Real Estate.
1%?
Yeah, yeah. I was like, did I steal my podcast name? But nah, it's good. It's called Getting to the 1% in Commercial Real Estate. It's an ebook, and it's a resource for beginners, and it's really just compiles a lot of the information I've learned over the last 10 years, where I wish it was all in one place for me. I've kind of got a little bit here, a little bit there, learn from this person. Oh, somebody told you about this. But for instance, to answer your question, like I said, first, Project REAP is a national program. So they're in a lot of major markets, definitely in the Atlanta market, New York, Chicago, LA, I believe Dallas, and it may be one in Houston too, but they're all over. Then for people who may not be interested in the national program, you definitely want to look into your local commercial real estate boards. Now, Atlanta has the largest commercial board in the country compared to some of the other cities, because it wasn't like, you know, I'm from Michigan, Detroit, and really I didn't know, had never even really heard of the board in Michigan, but there is one. Then there's CCIM, as you all know. I'm part of the Georgia chapter, and the Georgia chapter actually partnered with REAP and has a mentorship program. So that's something to look into. The Atlanta Commercial Board in 2015 started a mentorship program, and I was one of the first in that first class. Then there's other organizations like NAIOP, ULI, to get your education. Then there's one specific to women, CREW. Then there's also AAREP. The Atlanta chapter just started back up, but they're national too. It's the African American Real Estate Professionals. Then there's the Real Estate Council. There's so many organizations that may not be necessarily geared directly towards minorities, but they do have mentorship and entry programs to kind of assist you and provide resources. I'm trying to think of some other ones, but it's definitely a lot. Get my book.
Okay. Please, we'll have it in the description below.
Get the ebook.
We'll have it below. But we see that you also wear many different hats, and you are just an amazing person overall. So you do so much. But one question that we want to ask you is, how do you manage your time?
Ooh, child. Do I manage? I don't know. It depends on the day. Some days you feel like, oh, I'm killing it. I got everything I was supposed to be doing done. I write down a lot of things too. I live and die by that calendar. That's mainly because sometimes if it's not on there, it does not exist. And if it doesn't have a reminder on there, it may not exist. I actually missed a meeting this morning that was at 8:30, from 8:30 to 9:30. And I usually do my prayer every morning at 9. My pastor hosts prayer. So in my mind, I knew I had something else to do at 9:30. My pastor started late, and so it threw me off. And then I'm like, oh, I went back and looked at the calendar, and I didn't have a reminder. It started at 8:30. It wasn't something that I had to be at. It was just kind of something for brokers. But it was just the point that if it wasn't even a reminder on there, because it's not something I do all the time, it doesn't exist. So I think that helps in being organized. But yeah, sometimes you can't. You gotta burn the midnight oil. Sometimes you gotta have late nights, early mornings to get things done, and you gotta prioritize. So that's how I manage time, because some things are not as important, and learn to delegate. And that's where I've struggled with. Delegate, ask for help. I mean, once you get to a certain level in your career, you definitely got to have an assistant. Like, for instance, I still do a lot of business in Detroit. Am I in Detroit right now? No. So somebody got to be meeting my clients, right, and showing them property. So I make that expenditure to either pay showing assistants or my team that's there, but they have their own clients and everything. And so a lot of times, a lot of my clients want to see stuff during the day. Some of my agents still have jobs. So I had to bite the bullet and start paying someone. And, you know, she's been making a lot of little extra side money off me because, you know, I got to pay her whether the person buys or not. So I pay her per showing. I might need to change the structure up, but but I pay, as of right now, she gets paid per showing. So whether the person buys or not, she's getting her money. Right, exactly. So, you know, she pull up like, okay. So she gonna get the same amount whether they walk in the house and walk right back out or walk in the property. Yeah, so
that's funny.
So yeah, that's important, that calendaring your stuff and prioritizing, delegating, and asking for help. That's how you can kind of manage your time.
Okay. So we know that you have 2 kids, a son our age and also a son a little bit younger. What are you teaching them when it comes to real estate? Are you advocate of investment properties? Or?
Absolutely. My oldest son, you know, Zai is my baby that I wish I had, because my oldest son has no interest in real estate. Really? No. I mean, you know, when he was younger, he used to help me. I've encouraged him to try to get his real estate license. We're still working on that. But he's a great student, great guy. He's grown up a lot. He's in school in Boston, so no complaints, made the dean's list. So, you know, I'm not going to pressure him right now. Thank you. So I'm not going to pressure him right now. I'm going to leave him alone. But, you know, I still kind of swing back around. Maybe he'll go into the legal field, even though he won't tell me. I think that's what he plans to do, because I think he just don't want to seem like I'm doing what you do. So, but I think he has an interest in because he's very socially conscious. So with him, he's grown up with it. I've taken my kids with me to showings, meetings. They've been with everything. Now my baby, he's the one that tells his teachers he's going to build them a house. He's going to buy them houses. Like, he owed 3 or 4 teachers houses right now. He tell everything like, now I won't pay your, he told one teacher, I'll build the house, but I won't pay your facilities. He was trying to say utilities. I won't pay your facilities now, but I'm going to build you a house, because he liked the teacher. So he's definitely grown up in real estate because his dad is an investor and developer. And, you know, so he definitely has it in his blood, has it honest. He's a negotiator. He's a thinker. And so I think if nobody else does it, he's going to be the one that takes over and follows. And his dad is also a lawyer, a trained lawyer, even though he doesn't practice. So he's strictly real estate. So my baby is ingrained in it. He's probably at a property right now with his dad, because he got out of school early. So definitely pushing that. The kids do have, even my oldest son, his dad does have properties where he's the owner of the LLC and has some properties in his name, and, you know, that he's leaving to him. And he's helped his dad as well with, like, construction stuff. And so, yeah, we're pushing it, you know, it's spoon-fed, but the baby, he's ingrained. That's what he was born into, so.
That's amazing.
That's awesome.
That's amazing. That's a blessing to have parents that are already in the game.
Yeah.
Because I know for some of us, we don't have that.
Yeah, I didn't have that. Yeah. So, yeah, I get it. And, you know, a lot of our friends and family are just happy to own a home. Yep. They wasn't thinking about buying more. Right, you know, it's like, we try to keep this one we have. You know? Right. So, And, I think a lot of us generationally were not taught or thought that it was impossible, such a scarcity mindset sometimes that it's like, as long as I like to say, pay these bills, we good. There's no higher aspirations sometimes. So it's great that you all are doing this, trying to expose your peers and talking to people, and so you don't have to make the same mistakes either.
Exactly.
Because I wish I had somebody to tell me back when houses was $500 in Detroit. I should have been buying more. I just didn't even. I was too busy just trying to sell them. I wasn't even thinking, buy them. When I literally could have bought them. Where back, it was a day during that real estate crash in 08, 09. It was a time where you could have a property for sale for $500 in Detroit, and the commission would be $1,500. So the commission would be more than the price of the house.
What?
Yeah, because the banks were just trying to get rid of them.
Are you serious?
And this was a little tricksy. Some of me and my friends, we were younger, so some of the things we did, like, I'm broke. Let's buy this house for $500. I'll split the commission. Yeah, and, I'll give you back your $500, and I still got $1,000.
That's
because it was that easy, and my friend didn't care about that house. It was like maybe a vacant lot or something for $500, so they just let it go back to taxes, for whatever else. And of course the rules are now. I'm not encouraging that now, but back then, the rules were not as stringent, so. We would just go buy houses for $500, $600, $1,000.
The taxes couldn't be nothing but like $100.
Exactly, but like I said, not knowing any better, we could have really cleaned up on top of using the commission to pay for the house.
Oh my!
Or pay for the vacant land. Wow. But you live and you learn. But them days. I got some
we be living back then?
I got some clients that were cash when they because they were cash heavy. They clean. I can think of one particular client. I haven't talked to him in a while, but he bought like his old neighborhood because his mother still lived there until his mother passed, maybe in the last 5 years. He literally owned about 4 or 5, 6 blocks, continuous blocks.
Wow.
In his old neighborhood. And I'm sure, and I haven't talked to him recently, but a lot of those houses he was probably spending $15,000, $20,000, $30,000 and fixing them, had tenants that whole time, so then they were cash flowing. And I'm sure now those same houses are worth at least $100,000, $200,000 when he only paid $20,000 and maybe put $20,000 in it. So it's all profit there. I need to call him and say, wait a minute, you still had those houses?
Yeah.
You ready to sell yet? Because he literally owned, I helped him acquire at least 40 houses. And this was like within a short 6, 7, 8 month time frame, and it was all in the same area. So he controlled it. He made comps. He made the comps because if he sold one for 50, even though he paid 10, now the comp in that area is 50. You know, so he was creating comps too, and being able to pull money out of them. And that's another thing. A lot of us are so focused on owning things cash, no debt. A lot of us are scared of debt, and I've been there too. Where I have clients who have millions of dollars and want to invest, and they're like, I'm gonna pay cash. I'm like, stop. Yeah. Keep your cash. It's cheaper for you to go. They'll give you a big loan because of your credit and the kind of cash you have, and go buy it with other people's money. And I know a lot of us think like, oh, but I don't own it outright, but you still got your money that you can work. And of course, if you had your money, you can always pay the loan off or refinance, whatever. And I think that's another thing that stopped a lot of us from buying because we were scared of debt. So,
wow.
Yeah.
You just dropped a lot of gems.
Yes. Oh my God.
No, you're good.
This is perfect.
This is what we need. What is some advice that you would give to someone that's in our position, 18, 19 years old, fresh into college or out of high school, and they want to get into real estate, but they don't really know where to start?
Okay. Well, if you don't, you can get in. When you say get into real estate, you got to clarify because
so there's different arenas.
Right. You can get into it and not work in it per se. So when I'm saying get into it, do you mean, well, I just want to be an investor, or I actually want to work in the industry?
Well, obviously their first decision would be to clarify that question.
Okay.
What do they want to be
right.
in real estate?
Right.
So what could help them to get that decision down pat?
Well, as with anything, I would still say, you know, because we see so many TV shows and, like you said, Instagram and social media makes it look all glamorous and pretty. A lot, especially on the development side, it's hard. And so I would say, like you said, first, be clear on what exactly you want to do. Do you just want to try to create passive income? Because otherwise, you can still go be a teacher. We need teachers. We need police officers. We need doctors, lawyers, all of that good stuff. And being in real estate and get into real estate, as you say. Because a lot of times those 9-to-5 jobs will help supplement your income so you can go and invest. Or it'll supplement your first deal so you can build up enough income to replace your job. So I say if it's not like a direct interest, still go do whatever you planned on doing with your life and use real estate as a vehicle to assist you so you can be one of those people who don't hate your job and you really go in there because you like it.
Yep.
And it's not just for the money or whatever. You know, because a lot of people take a lot of jobs just because it's for the money and they don't really enjoy what they're doing. So real estate can be a vehicle to help supplement your income, your retirement, and live your dreams, goals, travel, whatever the case may be, and take a little pressure off that check you have to wait on every 2 weeks. You know, so I wouldn't say totally just disregard any other dreams or plans you have, because real estate could actually help fund that. Now, for somebody who really wants to get into real estate, whether it's sales, brokerage, development, all that, the first thing would be to get educated. Get as much practical experience as you can, because there's a lot of people with book smarts who still don't know anything. Because I mean, you'll meet people who've been agents for a long time, and it's like, they don't know this. Why are they asking? You've experienced that, so it's not about age; it's about experience. And if you can get practical experience, get involved in organizations, volunteering. And I did a lot of volunteering when I moved to Atlanta, just because I was new here, didn't know people, didn't know the lay of the land, who's who, because you know you gotta distinguish between the fakers and the, you know what I'm saying. So you gotta the only way to do that is to be around people, recognize you, recognize your name. And volunteering was one way where I actually sit on the board of a nonprofit called Quest Community Development, and we have 220 homes, units of affordable housing, another 300 in the pipeline. We also provide supportive wraparound services. And so that volunteer work, even though I didn't get paid off of it, I did help with the capital campaign and the development of a 30,000 square foot building, mixed use facility. I also helped with the lease up. So these are all things that, even though I didn't get paid market rate or what I would have gotten paid if I was, you know, doing this, but it gave me a lot of experience, working with national tenants. And you know, I'm experienced, and I still volunteer because then it's also helped with me getting my CCIM certification, because that one deal was worth a portfolio that a lot of other people would have had to do multiple deals to get. So volunteering, I think, is key. Of course, getting mentors, seeing if you can shadow people. And I mean, you know, especially when you're younger, you're definitely in a position to where you can volunteer more because you don't have kids and all these other extra responsibilities. It gets a little harder to work for pennies or for free when you're grown. When you're grown. So I would say for somebody in your age group, this is the time now to do all that exploratory stuff so you can figure out what you're good at, what you like, what you don't like, and then you can hone in and focus, and then that's when you can start charging your weight once you have all this experience behind you, even if it was unpaid experience. So
I definitely agree, because me and Alexa, we definitely make sure that we are volunteering and are shadowing and volunteering and learning as much as possible from the greats. But the last question that I want to ask, hopefully this isn't too personal, but where do you see yourself in 5 years?
That's a great question. You know, I have a vision board with all of these things, but even once you get a certain age, if you're not evolving, you're probably stagnant. So what I thought I wanted even 2 years ago, because you know, your perspective definitely changed with COVID and losing a lot of people. it's evolving, it's changing. You know, at first I thought like, okay, as soon as I open up my law firm, I want this big old law firm and all these associates. Now I don't want that. So I'm kind of envisioning that. That's a good question because my goal is to have time freedom and passive income.
Yes.
So, you know, having some big old firm where I got to be there and manage all these people, that probably doesn't fall in line with that, you know?
Not passive.
Right. It's definitely not passive, and probably not time freedom when you got to manage a lot of people. So I've been, as far as with my law firm especially, because, you know, with real estate, I've been doing it a while, so I'm kind of in a little natural flow. Because my firm is still relatively new, I am still exploring how I want it to look and lawyering my way. Being very discerning about the type of cases I take, the type of work I engage in. You know, I don't have to jump at everything because I do have supplemental income with real estate. So I'm not pressed to take every landlord tenant. And after a couple landlord tenant cases that I've been working on for 2 years now, I'm kind of like, ooh, I don't want to do that. I'd rather have 1 or 2 good clients that I can work from anywhere, sitting on the beach typing, than running back and forth to landlord tenant court, you know?
That's right.
So, actually it's still evolving, but the general answer to that would just definitely be time freedom, more time freedom, and hitting a certain specific number goal that I have in terms of passive income and active income.
That's perfect. That's perfect.
That's amazing. Well, thank you so much for
Thank
coming
you.
on.
Yes,
You did
thank
amazing.
you.
Thank you.
You
Thank
dropped
you.
so many gems for people. I hope y'all were taking notes because I
Please.
know I learned a lot.
Yes.
Yeah, and get the book.
Yes. Get the book.
Look at me,
Get
shameless
the
plug.
Get the book.
Make sure you guys are like and comment this video. Make sure you guys are following us on Instagram because we will be doing Money Mondays every first Monday of the month. And make sure you follow her. She drops major gems on her Instagram. So see you guys later. Thank you.
Thank
And
you.
buy the book.
Yeah,
Buy the
thank you.
book.
Thank you very much.